This is the final chapter in the Alex Perry on Fire New Year's resolution episodes. We are going to start with Andrew Welker, one of my best friends, and we will finish with my twin brother, Elliott, who really is just as much a part of this show as I am. He brings me light and energy, and I think it's important that we cap it off with him. And for the audience listening, thank you for 2024. We are nearing 100,000 subscribers, and the way we keep growing is if you keep following, subscribing, telling people, and just going on this journey with us. It is new to me, and hopefully it's eye-opening, and we're learning, growing, having fun. I just couldn't be more excited for 2025. And the fun is we're gonna go through it together with him, with new guests, and really hearing from you this year. So enjoy the last podcast and welcome 2025. Welcome to the Alex Perry on Fire podcast. Smile on my face, ear to ear, as always. But this time, we welcome back a guest who is literally, if not one of my favorite people in the world, and someone I trust as much as any person in the world. And so I'm emotional when I say that because I mean it, but I'm going to welcome Andrew Welker, the cowboy, back to the Alex Perry on Fire podcast.
Man, thank you. Thanks for having me. And it wouldn't be appropriate if I didn't wear the hat for this one for you. So
yeah, and what I love is this is old school real cowboy. This is new school, Yellowstone, club cowboy.
Man, I think cowboy's got a lot of different definitions these days. So I don't know about old school. I'd still think it's more modern day for me, but I just like to, and I think anybody who enjoys the adventure and embraces the unknown a little bit and can live in the simplicity of things, I think that's everybody's a little bit of a cowboy in them, or a cowgirl.
I love that. And I embrace it, especially when I join you, whether it's in Montana or anywhere. So I got my hat.
Yeah.
Our podcast, it gets brought up to me more than almost any other podcast, especially on the business side of things, because we tapped in to what was, column A and the work acumen, and column B. I can't tell you how many young people have come up to me and said, I want to know more about how to get off the hamster wheel, how to get out of the rat race. And that was really something you kind of brought to the forefront of this podcast. Can you talk to me about how you kind of managed that throughout the year?
Yeah, it's been a wild year because right after we did that, I relaunched my old business and it's been a challenging balance of A and B. So, what I had to do is I literally just take out my calendar. I put a hard stop and I put dates in there in the calendar of like, I'm going to do, what brings me joy? Where do I find the most fun in my life, in regards to A, right? Where's my adventure side coming in? And I will just start dropping things in the calendar. And what I've realized, and everyone's different, is I will always find a way to work very hard in between those dates. But there's just certain times now I'm not going to allow it into my space, the work hard, mentality of regards to, I'm not going to let A, control my B, if that makes sense.
I also tell people who come to meet with me, and they tend to be a little bit younger and asking for advice. I say, it's not bad to be driven. It's not bad to run at 100 miles an hour in the work. It will get you places. Just recognize kind of what you're saying is where you need to take those breaks to slow down.
Yeah. I'm in the heart of it. Even right now, yesterday was a, 12, 14 hour day, but I still made time to take, I think I went on 4 different walks. My morning walk, then I had a mid-morning in between meetings. Then I had one just after I ate lunch, and I always go in for an evening walk. It's just a thing. Sunset and walks are just, I don't feel like life is complete without them. If you're not trying to catch a sunset and go for a walk, I don't feel like you're doing something right.
This is a New Year's episode, and we're going to talk about some of the things coming into the new year. But I want to know, and I think the audience wants to know, what have you really learned in 2024, and maybe specifically that you will take into 25?
It was a good year. It was a challenging year, but those are the best. So I think the lessons, going back to the lessons, before, some people get so beat up over, oh man, this is happening or this is happening. I think the minute that you realize that any obstacle, and you've called them this possible moments, right? Um, Man, the challenges and the obstacles, when I look back in the last decade, not just this past year, amen. Those are the blessings. Those are, and that is really truly what defines a person, right? Anybody can fly high when they're on top. Anybody. And everybody's going to love you, and everybody's going to want to be out and around you and be around your energy. But when you're going through it, who are you? How do you react to that? Who are you?
Yeah, I love that.
How do you pick yourself back up? Because the world's going to knock everybody down. I don't care whether you have money, you don't have money. It doesn't matter. The world's going to come at you. That's life. And the question is, how do you get up? And how do you fail forward?
And do you think that in 24, you have now looked at these challenges and said,
they're blessings.
Bring it.
Bring it. Bring it. It's only makes you stronger. Smooth seas never made a skilled sailor. I've said it. I mean it. It's the truth. Lean into the lessons, even if it's hard.
So many people on this podcast who now are on the top or have been here, or we call it, being on the mountain, have just said, everything you just said, resilience, challenges, overcoming things. And, Elliott said on the podcast at one point, he thought the world was punishing him. And now he sits in that chair, he sat in the chair, and he's like, it wasn't punishing me. It was opening my eyes. It was making me change for a better life, which is really powerful stuff, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And that leads me into the new year because it's going to be an interesting one. I think I've already shared with the audience, and I will over and over again. I couldn't be more excited for 2025.
Yep.
I think I put a lot of great work into 24. I think there's more work to come, but what are you really focusing on? What might be a New Year's resolution for you, or just something that's top of mind going into 2025?
Look, in 25, I would just like to practice everything that I've learned up until this point in life, right? So again, I want to make sure I drop my stuff in my calendar. I'm already looking at, some diving in Galapagos, some areas I haven't been, maybe back to Patagonia in regards to travel, which always brings me joy. But on the business side and the personal side, like, my personal side, part of my deal was, more stillness when I am at home and right, patience and other things that I think I haven't really practiced much of. And I think that goes for business too, right? Is being balanced, because to operate at your best capacity, you need to be. But again, like just practicing all those things that we've kind of been on a bit of a journey together, but that I've learned in the last couple years. Again, the obstacles, pause. It's a good thing, listen. Is this happening for a reason so I can see this, So with business, I look forward to the challenges. That's what it is, especially when you get to that, depending on where you are, of course, but that's what life is. It's just a bunch of challenges, and it's how you decide to overcome them. Whether it's when you spill a coffee, in the morning, and you're going to is that the way you're going to start your day and be like, or you're going to laugh about it. Humor is a great way to get through all of it, right? But life is just a bunch of challenges, and I look forward to the challenges and learning from them. And I think that's what it is. And I think in 25, bring them on, let's go.
Talk to me about becoming a dad in 2025. Again, there's people who are listening who don't have any kids. There's some that do, but for the ones that don't, like, what's going through your mind right now?
Oh man, it's it's been a roller coaster, but it's truly been a roller coaster of excitement. I'm at a point in my life where I've considered children for a long time, but wasn't sure, like completely sure. It was always out there, but I was really just thankfully living in the moment. I think looking back so much that it was just like, yeah, if it's the right person, if it's the right time, and it's the right person and it's the right time. And, it's the full human experience. A lot of people say, oh, you don't understand till it happens, and you won't get it till it's no problem. I know the love I have for my dog. I know this is different, but I mean that's some pretty unconditional love. But man, I'm ecstatic. I again been a firm believer everything happens for a reason, and up until this moment while we're sitting here right now, and this little girl that's about to come into my life is probably going to be again, she's not here yet, but candidly will be probably, the most important thing that I've ever been a part of,
Sure.
And
Sure.
I'm excited to lean in and be the absolute best father that I can be, and show this little girl the world, and hopefully, pass on any of the wisdom that I've gained over the last 43, will be 44 years when she gets here.
Yeah, and I think to add to that, part of your journey, especially in the past year, because I've watched it and I want to share, is you've dug deep into some things. Because I'll sit here and say we believe in the patterns that have been shown to us, and the blood lineage and all that stuff, and I give you credit, but to also speak about that, because I've talked about it so much on the show, that like when you're aware of things, good and bad, not just bad, good and bad, to just start recognizing that when you bring someone into this world, that's what they're going to see, that's what they're going to feel. And I think the hard work that you're doing now in anticipation of bringing a child into this world, when instead of just saying, oh, I'm going to concentrate on business till she's born, or I'm going to do this or something, it's like, wait, there's some things that are pretty damn difficult, and struggles that now you're embracing to say, let's get this right, before I bring another, human into this world that has my blood, my lineage, my
DNA,
yeah.
my generational. Yeah, I again, after what we did together, I don't know if we, up in
Yeah,
up in
a
Vermont,
retreat in
or I'm sorry, in Maine. I
Yeah.
apologize. Yeah, in Maine with Christoph. But you look, it's real, and I think that if you're bringing someone into this world, like, you really need to go heavy inward, right, and look and see what. And it's not a bad thing, I have the work ethic from my ancestors, which got me to where I am, right? But there are some things that come with that, I mean, my family, if you ever met my parents, they are the most incredible, but they are on the go. My grandmother, same thing. Like, there's just this constant movement, constant, and I wouldn't call it necessarily anxiety, but it could be considered that. But they got to be working. They got to be doing something, which again, I admire that. I wouldn't be where I am today without it. But there are some things that that I recognize that I need to slow down on that side, that is like, hey, it's okay to be still, to sit, and there's a lot more to it than that, of course, but there's things that you need to reflect and know what you've inherited, that you can change before you're going to affect the life of someone else that you're bringing into this world, right?
Yeah, because they're a sponge, 100%, 100%.
And if I can add to it, the other thing is I've kind of said this to myself, like, man, I think having a child after, I love the path that I was given. I'm so grateful for it, right? Number one, let's just call it what it is. Born a white male in America. I don't care how poor you are. You're already just born a human on this earth. You're already ahead of the game. You alone been born in America, right? Let's just call it what it is. Already a head start, way a head start, right? Then some, again, I'm on that board of Ubuntu in Kenya. I mean, that'll open your eyes fast, right? My next challenge is like, okay, I'm part of this Tiger 21 network and other things. And sometimes like, man, why do I do that? Like, I don't, but I see why I did it. I did it because I see what I don't want to be as a parent, around some of these, some really high net worth people. Right. And what I don't want to ever do. And the hardest thing, I've said this before, going back to what I started with, the hardest thing I think I'll ever have to figure out is what's enough. What's enough to make sure that she appreciates it? What's enough to make sure that she has gratitude? What's enough to make sure that she has purpose? That, my friend, is the next real challenge for me. And that's what I'm excited about.
You and I have hammered it home to ourselves and the audience. Column A, which is work. Column B, which is hobby and fun and play. But we've never had column C. Column C seems to me like baby.
Yeah.
Where's column C gonna find room?
You know, I still think that kind of goes back into A, but it's uncharted
You mean
territory.
B?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Jesus.
Well, it might be.
Maybe we need to go back over again. Yeah,
It might be.
I think that definitely goes into B.
Yeah.
But a little bit of A, changing diapers. Just kidding.
Yeah.
I think it's B. But look, man, kind of like I said earlier, I'm open. I'm excited for the challenge. I know it's not just going to be a cakewalk having a child, right? But I mean, it's it's going to be fun. And I think it's, for me, again, are there going to be some terrible moments? Yeah. And hopefully I'll throw that humor side into those. And, and we'll just keep figuring it out.
But humor, I write down humor. I write down from my gratitude book and my manifestation book and all these books I have. I mean, pretty soon I'm gonna be walking with like 6 books everywhere I go. But man, humor can change anything. Laughing at yourself or laughing at the situation. I'm pretty sure most of the time no one has singled you out to pain you. I'm pretty sure, to each their own, but having a good laugh is never gonna hurt you.
I think I'd call it column A, column B, and column G for Goldie.
Love it. That's perfect.
That's her name.
The girl's name is gonna be Goldie. Yes, love that. I love that. I'm going to have some space for a little column G.
I love that. Thank you, bro.
Something that I've always recognized in you that I don't have in myself, and it's interesting because we talk about mirroring, but I definitely don't have in myself, that I'm actually way more aware of now, and hopefully getting a little bit more, is feminine energy. And even when Bree was on our podcast, your girlfriend, soon to be the mother of your child, she mentioned your feminine energy. She mentioned her strong feminine side. In addition to that, I've always remembered that you've kept girls in your life, even past girlfriends who love you, and you've managed to do that, which a lot of guys can't do. And I say alpha males have a struggle to do. Is it interesting and that now you've got a girl? You talked about having a boy, but you have a girl coming into this world, and what that means to you on the feminine side.
I've thought about that a lot. And I've even joked when I had, helped fund that PR company, but the future is female, so it makes sense. No, now that it's a girl, I couldn't imagine it actually being any other way. And I'm so excited, not just for her, but I think, as you called it, I think I may be more in touch with my feminine side, which is probably why I was able. Look, it's probably a good time to come clear on all this here. So I clearly, as you said, was a bit of a lone wolf cowboy. I dated around a lot. That's not a surprise to anybody, I don't think, that knows me. But I think the one thing that I always stayed true on while I did that is I was always honest, right? I was always authentic. There was no, I didn't tell white lies to get a girl, or situations. Like, it was always like, here's where I'm at in my life. This is what I'm doing. This is where I'm going. And I think the honesty, and actually caring, because, if you let someone into your life like that, like if you date, like, for me, I don't let a lot of people, that close to me. Not, and when you do, like, I had a hard time just letting it end. And as long as you were honest throughout that entire relationship, I always just thought it was mind blowing that people couldn't maintain those relationships, especially in a place like Dallas where, it's a big, small city, right? So I think, to your point, I've had quite a few friends say to me like, man, I don't know how you've maintained friendships with all these, all these different, different people. And I just think, being honest. And if you're an alpha male and you're that guy, like, dude, be a good dude. Be honest with these girls. Like,
or just be respectful.
Be respectful and be honest. Yeah, honest, respect, same, I should be saying it together. You're right. Just be respectful. Be honest. It's okay if you don't have to date somebody and marry them. Like, it's why you're dating, just be truthful about where you are in your life. Don't be a dick. And now that I'm having a daughter, definitely don't be a dick. So I think the exciting part for me about Goldie is, I know it's going to bring out probably a softer side, as I'm told, right? And now, I'm going to be that dad who has to look at it from that side, because I was always just a boy or a guy, and I'm excited because I feel like hopefully I'll get the opportunity not only to influence her, but to be a good man for her girlfriends, right? So you're not just impacting your daughter, you're probably impacting her whole circle, right? And maybe more than that if you're lucky.
What was it like the moment you found out that you're having a child? Because was it planned? Was it unexpected? Please
I
share
don't know
with
if
the
my
audience.
daughter's going to watch this in 10 or 15 years. So either way, I'll always be honest. It wasn't planned. We were on a trip that we were invited. My good friend Elliott Perry invited me on. Well, half the trip was with you on a floating vessel in the Mediterranean, one of our favorite places in Italy. And then the other was with my mom and my sister and my niece, and we finished in Tuscany area. But either way, yeah, I know exactly. We know where it happened, and it was on a boat and beautiful place in the world. And there's not an ounce of doubt in my mind that that little girl's supposed to be coming into this world. So, was it unplanned? Sure. But was it supposed to happen? Absolutely. You know, I actually got the news I was coming back from Montana, and Bree came to my house to surprise me, which she wasn't supposed to be there the next day. And I was like, oh, that's nice. It was like 11 o'clock at night. Wasn't expecting her to be there. And, you know, she slid over the pregnancy tests, like 5 of them. And my world changed, you know? So it's a lot. It actually took me like a couple weeks to even like, is this really real? Is it really happening? Like but yeah, man, couldn't be more excited.
And I remember you having lunch with me, and you're like, I gotta tell you something. I'm like, you're pregnant. I was like, somehow I was like, there's only so much big news I could take, or that you're gonna say this is big.
And as a friend, man, you've just been so supportive, and you know, it's yeah, man, it's just a wild ride. And again, everything happens exactly how it's supposed to. I've always believed it, and here we are.
Do you have a New Year's resolution? I mean, is there something that sticks out that says, hey, and if you don't, then I'm going to ask you, is there something that you want me to hold you accountable that we could call a New Year's resolution?
Man, I've been going so hard, and I'm purposely not going away over New Year's so that I can like focus on this. So I have not given it much thought. So I do not have one. I usually write my goals. We had an incredible New Year's last year, super chill. We're at the ranch, popped an old vintage bottle of champagne, and we were in bed at like 12:05. Not normal for us, but it was awesome. I do cherish that, especially because we used to do that crazy New Year's event at the Crescent every year for the foundation thing I had. But I'm looking forward to that week, and that is actually one of the things I forced myself to do last year. As I said, no traveling, right around that New Year's time frame, because I want to actually have that clarity to set up my next year. So I'm not trying to avoid the question.
No, you're not.
But that is my resolution, is to at least block out that time to prepare myself.
I'm close enough to you that I'll give you one that I'll hold you accountable for, and that is slowing down. And it's really ironic because 2 years ago, if I told you I would be holding you accountable to slowing down, you would have asked if we were Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner.
Yeah. Friendships are about.
We would never caught up to each other. But yeah, I sense, and again, for the audience listening, Andrew was running 1,000 miles an hour. And then I like to think that he decided he was going to walk and jog and run when he wanted for a couple years. And now he's running at 1,000 miles an hour again. And I've actually slowed down to kind of the walk, jog, run. And so when I say hold accountable, I admired that so much about you when I saw you doing that. And when you get caught up in building businesses and you're building a couple new businesses, it's a way to succeed. It's a way to excel. It's a way to build. It's almost you're setting the tone from the top. And you get lost. And sometimes it's not right in front of your face. You're just running that hard. And I think it goes without saying, that's the reason why you have a wife, a girlfriend, if you're a guy, vice versa for girl to guy, friends that say, we're here. We're establishing this. We have this conversation. We're on the phone. We're having lunch. We have this trip. Yeah, go in your business. I want you to excel to the max. I want you to sell this thing, grow it. But when we hang out, I want to hear about the business, but I want you to be present with me.
Yeah. And I think it's just especially when it's programmed again in your DNA, like you have to fight it, and you've got to. And again, if you learn to do it, going back to that first podcast, if anybody appreciated it, if you learn to do it, it'll actually make you better in your business too. So, I think what I used to do, when I was running hard, was a lot of half-ass moments, right? Where I'm like, oh, I'm here. But while I'm at lunch with you, I'm not present. I'm still deciphering the call I just got off of, and I'm already looking forward to my call at 1:00. And like, am I ready for that? What else do I have to think? Where are we going with that? And man, if slowing down and being present, and again, it's hard. I mean, I don't want to throw stones in a glass house, because I'm not the best at it, but I'm getting better.
I said that to my therapist today. My biggest New Year's challenge for myself. It's almost what I'm holding you accountable for. So maybe that mirror effect is taking effect real hard right now. Is I can put my phone away, but that doesn't mean that I'm not thinking about where I need to be next. It's the practice of actually being there, and that's why I said if it's scaled to 0 to 100, I'm at a 10. So I'm exactly not throwing stones right now, but I want to improve, and there's so much room to improve. And that's right. That's the exciting part. That's the challenge. It's not something we're great at. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm great at it. It's almost like I projected it on you because that's what I want you to hold accountable to me. Lastly, I got to do 2 more things. It's too much fun.
Yeah.
What's firing you up right now? Always. What is firing you up?
Firing me up right now is obviously this little girl, and I'm building I'm building all the things, so I can be like ready. So last night I was looking at a chicken coop. Bree, if you're listening, you're probably going to get that for Christmas.
Love it. She'll hear it afterwards.
And we got the greenhouse. And look, I do want to bring this up on here. Building this new company and knowing I'm going to have a lot of there'll be a few hundred people in no time, right? And you have this influence. And when I had the company before, I was in my late 20s, early 30s, and it was probably looked more like a movie, right? Lifestyle wise.
Legal version of Wolf of Wall Street. I always say he was the Wolf of Wall Street legal version.
But this time around, it's just, what a cool opportunity to get to lead. And be part of the leaders. There's many leaders. This is definitely not a one-man show, but just to be part of these leaders that I get to work with again, and come in here and like say, hey, let's focus not just on business. Let's focus on, we're doing this thing down at the ranch in mid-January where I'm bringing everybody in from across the country. And, I'm going to be focused on, let's talk spirituality, let's talk, these are things I didn't do before as a CEO, let's focus on emotionally, spiritually, financially, and then the other one I do is like, I'm starting to live it now, but the greenhouse, the garden, the eggs, killing my elk in Montana, like, or buying a cow down in Hico where I'm at, food, man, food is real. What we eat, how we perform, you wouldn't put bad gas in your car. I mean, I've been saying that for a long time, but I think now more than ever, I'm so deep in documentaries and what is it, Gaia? I live on that damn channel now. But like, not to be on here ranting about this, but the poison that's on like, the processed foods in the United States, especially, you spend time in Europe, just look at the different ingredients of a bag of potato chips.
Well, I think
so I want to push all of that. Health, awareness, it's not just about business. Like we all need a purpose and doing something we love, but let's do it while we're being cognizant of all these other things.
Well, and I think it fires you up to lean into practicing what you preach, right? And then finding new areas that you can grow and saying, all right, let's expand on that and in a way more intentional manner.
Yeah.
So I love that. And
giving back and impact on that side too. I know with this next chapter, I asked myself, do I want to get back into this? I know what this is going to bring into my life, but I'm like, if I can get back in and be able to influence that many people again, and I could mentor and go back to younger versions of myself, like I feel like I've been chosen to do it.
It can be the little things. I mean, again, you ranted to me on water purification, and I heard it so deeply in your voice, I ordered a water purification system the next minute.
Your skin absorbs
but it was
water.
just trust, right? Trust that like people putting time into different things and being open to different ways of doing business. Trust me, you're not the first business guy, nor like big business and private, public, big, Fortune 500 that are bringing in meditation, spirituality, food, mindfulness, yoga, breath work, all of this in their business. Trust me. I think it's headed quickly. And if you don't, you're going to be left behind the eight ball. So, obviously props to recognizing that, but also embodying it. I think that's what fires you up too, is when you embody something and you believe it so much, it's going to work, right?
Yeah.
Like, this shit works. And the 10-year version of us was like, again, full circle was white knuckle, get on that hamster wheel. We'll turn this around no matter what. And it's like, not saying we wouldn't, but it's not exactly the best way of going about it. Lastly, we donate. We love to do it. We're going to donate to a charity of your choice. Every guest, doesn't matter if it's your first, second, third, fourth, fifth time. So where would you like us to donate on your behalf?
I would love for you to donate to Ubuntu. It's a love bracelet. Another thing I manifested was, I had a foundation, and we would throw a New Year's event, and it was a great party, and we didn't really raise a lot of money, but the effort was there, right? And then I asked myself, like, I really want to, be a bigger part of something in that realm. And then this showed up in my life. A couple of friends from Austin introduced me to Zane and Elmo, who live between Kenya and Austin. And I know you're coming back next time I go to Africa with me. I mean, the story of these children that they're helping there. And if you can go online, it's Ubuntu. And you can buy these bracelets, which these mother with children with disabilities, they all make on site, and then handbags and shoes. And we actually are just launching a coffee from Kenya. It's incredible. And there's a subscription base. Yeah. So either way, would love to donate. And anybody,
we will donate. And I've been to 2 of the events that you've thrown in, and literally what they do for y'all listening is a lot of children who have disabilities in Africa, specifically this region of Kenya, are just left. Either the parents don't have the money to take care of them, or in a sad way, some of them think that they're possessed or
cursed, and the mothers are pretty much, us.
So they've created a charity that funds schools and hospitals and teaching that these kids are just like me and you.
It's incredible. I mean, it's the joy that are on these, everybody's face over there. It's such a cool part of the world. And then on top of that, when you step out of that, you got lions in your backyard. So, I mean, I love grizzlies in my backyard. Showed you that one was just up, but lions. I mean, Africa's just such an incredible place.
It's a good place to stop, and I know we'll have you on again. And next time, maybe we'll switch places. I will be dressed like the real cowboy going into the saloon, and you're going to be New World Cowboy.
I think this is more like an Australian outback, like safari.
It's working.
Cowboy.
Whatever it is, I'm telling you, it's working. So, what a pleasure, and so meaningful. And part of the reason I started this podcast was just because of the discussions we were having. So. Anytime you're on here, it's just truly special.
Man, I appreciate it. And I said this last time, I just want to say it again. Like, sometimes, I mean, when you told me you were starting this podcast, I was like, all right, cool. Just like some things I probably told you that you're like, okay. And then I seen the setup last time, and then I've watched all the guests you've had come on, man. I just think that this has been, it's just, it's inspiring, man, for you to just say, hey, I've done this my whole life, basically real estate. And I'm just going to, I'm going to go ahead and just try something I'm not good at. Like, put yourself in a vulnerable position and say, I'm going to have a podcast, and I'm going to stick with it. I mean, there's a lot of people who have a podcast and, probably would be the one I would do. I'm like, I don't have time for that anymore. I got to stay focused on right? Just kidding. But to literally put yourself out there, be vulnerable, try something completely new. And I mean, you're not really a social media guy, from what I remember, And, so like really putting yourself out there, because what is that old deal? Like, if you want criticism, be nothing, say nothing, do nothing, you put yourself out there, people are going to, it could be good, it could be bad, but it's a vulnerable place to be. So I admire you for it. I love you, and keep up the good work.
Love you too. Thank you. It's 2025, and now we're sitting here with my twin brother, Elliott, and it just feels different. And for the audience who's watched any of the previous episodes with Elliott, really starting in March of 24 where all cards were on the table and it was vulnerability at its greatest. And I credit you for sharing with me, the audience, your journey. And the beauty is this journey still going. And it just feels like the foundation now is there to grow, to expand, to learn, and we get to do it together. And for the audience listening, they get to see your journey. And so I'm excited to have you on today, and I'm excited to talk about really the end of 24 and the new 25. And it makes me smile because there was tons of stress, anxiety, scary unknown. I say for me, because I won't talk for you, but for me, and I think if the audience was watching, they could see it in you as well. So having you in today is going to be fun, and just talking about what this may look like going into 25.
Yeah, and again, thank you. I actually love coming on this podcast because it does allow me to tell my story over a timeline. Um, and I sort of think you hit the nail on the head when you said foundation, right? And it was like when I first came on the show, I was at the first building block, or call it brick, of my foundation. I knew what I had to build, but I had to start from literally scratch. And so I think as we go into 2025, I put a lot of bricks down, and foundation is there. Can I keep adding bricks? Absolutely. You need to, but a lot of in 2024, in our journey, and as we talked about it, was knowing where I wanted to go or feel, but not being anywhere close. And instead of thinking it's going to take, one monumentous thing, it was little things and little things and little things. And that could have been via work, personal, you and I's relationship. We wanted it to change, but it didn't change over a week or month or 2 months. It took a lot of us and actions to trust that we were building. So very excited.
Love it. And as we sit here, and if you're watching, you've got a cool turtle on a surfboard. I think it's important to talk about the fact that last New Year's and Christmas we weren't together, but that was because it was impossible. You were at treatment, and that was not going to happen. Previously, we had spent pretty much every New Year's and Christmas of our lives together, that I can remember. And this year, on purpose, we did not spend the holidays together. We spent Christmas, excuse me, but the day after and going into New Year's and back. Can you share with the audience kind of the reason for that and what you experienced during that time?
Yeah, I think as you put, we've shared so many Christmas and New Year's, and really a lot of trips too. And what we've worked on is not necessarily doing everything together and having different experiences, and then coming back and being able to share those experiences. So I went to Maui, and you obviously went to Cabo, and just going to Maui, I took Grace, and it was her and I time. It wasn't every second where I was with you, and the focus was either here or there or there. And so it was great. I did a lot of different activities. Weather was perfect. And I just thought it was good. And I came back and I was excited to share what I had learned or what I did on my vacation, and hear the same from you.
Yeah, and I think I want to share with the audience a little about this. Elliott and I, for the longest time, still quite often, did everything together. And there's some incredible ties to sharing a lot of stuff to each other. But when you don't give each other space, you don't allow another person into your life, whether that's a parent that you're very close with, a brother, a best friend. And I think what we were trying to do is set intentional boundaries, starting with the new year, to say, look, Ellie, you've let the audience know that finding someone in a connection with, whether it be Grace or someone else, has been really important to you. And the fact is, I have to be cognizant, and so do you, of having that space available where we're not talking on the phone 10 times a day, and only going on vacation with each other and checking in with each other about dinner every night. And like, look, we love hanging out with each other. We love that, but it was unhealthy, admittedly unhealthy. And so what a better way to start practicing it than the end of the year, especially with someone you genuinely care and love a lot.
Yeah, and it was nice that even before the end of the year, you said on the podcast, I used to wake up and give you a worry rock, right? And how much it changed when you decided, "I'm gonna wake up and give you a trust rock." It went from, I don't wanna say negative energy, but something that wasn't positive to something, "Hey, this is positive." Or when we started speaking on the phone, instead of venting, right, it was, "No, look what I have achieved," or "What happened today," and it's like, great, we started to feed off each other, and it was good, 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 good. Um, and I think, again, that's when sometimes you have, call it a brother or a best friend or parent, where you think you confide in them, which is nice, but also you can also give them great, news about you. It's not bragging. And I remember one time you said, "I don't want you to, if I say this, I don't want you to think that I'm bragging." I was like, "No, no, brother. Like, the one person you can brag to is me, right?" Like,
Yeah, similar. Andrew called me the other day and said something, and he's like, "Whoa, whoa, I don't want to come across as arrogant." I'm like, "The one person you can share great news with is me. Like, I'm not judging you. I want you to go to the moon.
yeah,
Take me with you when you go."
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, let's do that. And I think, again, some healthy boundaries. I used to wake up at whatever time I wake up and fire a text or a call, and then if you didn't call me back within an hour, call you again and again. It's like, nah, wait until you call me.
yeah,
You might sleep in till 8, 9, 10 on a weekend or a weekday, or just not want to talk to me at a certain point. And I think what happens is we get so used to that, whether again it's a brother, a best friend, a parent, a relationship, and it's like there's nice space sometimes to just chilling and letting your brain fire and not worry about another person and how you're going to integrate them into your life and how their day is going and did they wake up on the right side of the bed and are they pissed today or is there good news or bad news. It's just it becomes taxing.
yeah. Well, and I think what I learned, especially you said going back to 2024, is really patience is a huge thing. Where if I felt an emotion or I felt, whether good or down, or I wanted to discuss something with someone right away because I found out information, is just sitting with it, right, and taking a day, to say, okay, this is, I'm not going to be emotionally charged by this. I'm going to actually think about what's going on and what I want to say, or how I could change the feeling. Before, it was a lot of times when I was feeling down, and I was for the very, call it, first half of 2024, it was, this is emotion and this is this, so I'm going to feel this way. And instead of just sitting with it and being like, okay, why is it this way? How can I adjust to it and turn it into a positive? And so instead of it being just negative, followed by negative and negative, it was, okay, how do I slowly move this to, I'm learning, right? Or this is an emotion that I always blocked and just said, no, I'm good, I'm fine. Let's move on, right? Um, and so sitting with things, and I say a day, it could be 2 days, right? It could be even 5 hours, instead of just an initial reaction back to someone, which is going to emotionally charge it. Um, and so patience is really big. And I say patience even going into 2025. I'm not a patient person, but I'm really trying to fix that.
Yeah, patience is such an important word, and as we say words, it's funny. Each day, kind of my practice, and I say it's almost by accident. A word will come to me, and I'll put it in the notes section of my phone because it's something that's reoccurring to me. It's just whether it's patience, whether it could be love. It could be, again, if I looked at my phone, um, it was surrender at one point. It was, I'm trying to think what I put in there today because I actually put a word in there today and it'll come to me. But like, I think your words for the day are really important, and then they hold you accountable because this is talking about accountable as we go through the day. I know what the word was. It was play. It was play. One word, and you've had your scale of 1 to 10 on where I can check in with you and say, all right, Elliott, on this scale of 1 to 10, where are you in terms of accountability? And for the audience listening, Elliott's used so many words on this show and he has ruminated harder than anyone and pained himself for the past and come up with confidence, content, uh, there was a lot to do with forgiveness for yourself. I mean, I could go back, but like you're a word guy and you are someone who holds yourself. So what's that one word that I can just check in and on a scale from 1 to 10, where are you now?
2025, I really want to listen. That is my goal. That's learning. That's absorbing. It's being okay with feedback on how to change, right? I think I'm pushing out there that people can come to me now, and I'm not going to be sensitive to it. But I think if I listen, and even to the world, right? Listen to what the universe is saying, listen to what other people, that will help me grow.
Where are you on a scale of 1 to 10 right now?
Listening, I'd say probably a 5.
Lane was on this, our therapist, and she's like, have attainable goals, have things that are measurable, but not like you said, that have to be through the roof, like little things, like, doing things 2 times a week as opposed to 200.
Yeah.
Giving yourself time to achieve that. It happens. It all happens. The world keeps moving and going on. And at the same time, it's really just you. I mean, it's just you. I mean, there are people in this world, but you're holding yourself accountable for yourself.
Yeah.
The world goes on. I always said this again, and it's just because you are our guest today. When you went to treatment, the world did not stop.
Even as I think of 2025 and resolutions, I don't want a big resolution. It's overwhelming, right? I want little resolutions that I know I can do every day, that it's like, if I do these every day, I'll get to that big resolution. And yeah, when I was coming out of treatment, patients or things, you're like, I just want to feel good. I want to do this right now. And yeah, we shared the story on different podcasts of when I was down here, and then I started to go up here, and then I was up here, and then I went down again, which was frustrating. And using the tools I had, and even conversation with other people where it was deeper conversation, of, okay, so often you don't want to talk about bad feelings, or you're like, I'm not great, or I don't want to put negative energy out there for positive people. But it was important to talk through it. It was super important. And even doing these podcasts, and I would obviously listen back to what I did and say, okay, what's my goal for the next podcast? Right. And in order to be there and be authentic, and I think a huge thing about myself being on here and even others is being real.
Well, and I think January, they always say, is the longest month of the year, whether it is actually or just never ends, right? And I think you talked about speeding up and slowing down. It's difficult, like slowing down, and the weekends are kind of quiet after all this Christmas stuff and holiday parties and New Year's and just the end of the year excitement. And we come back and it's quiet. We're in Dallas right now. It's snowing, and I remember when you came back from treatment, and the weekends were scary for you because you're like, what am I going to do Saturday, Sunday? And even as we sit in the chair right now, it's like even the old me would have a little anxiety, and the new me is like, all right, I get to read my book in silence. I get to walk my dogs. I get to watch a new show. We're lucky that all these new shows are coming out. And I think it's awareness, it's mindfulness, it's planning a little bit, although you want things to come at you, but it's having an idea. And I think it's, you and I talk a lot about the word confidence, but like confidence that things will work out. Confidence that if you buy into whatever you just talked about, you're buying into your own things.
Yeah.
I need to buy into my resolutions, my plan, and then having trust that with patience, good things happen.
Yeah. And I think you say January is difficult, it's never ending. A lot of people, and even myself prior to this year, said, okay, I'm going to wait till the new year, and then I'm going to have this resolution that I'm going to do this. And it's what about if you had momentum prior, right? I started a lot of these things where I'm like, okay, in November, I'm going to do this. It doesn't matter about the new year. And I had a lot of people after our podcast come up, and some were struggling with maybe Adderall addiction, or when I say addiction, needing to take it when it wasn't used, or other medications. And they're like, well, I'm going to wait till this time. Right. Or, I might go seek help, but I'm going to see if I can go and do it a month from now or 2 months. And it's like, and I remember we both would say every day you don't do it, you're a day behind. You've lost that day. And so I think there's a piece where it's like, yes, New Year's, call it January 1st, you can start something. But if you're starting all these things you need to fix, it's overwhelming. And I'm not saying you not to do it, but it's like, it doesn't have to be January 1st. It can be, okay, I'm going to do this here, but every day I don't do something that's negatively impacting me, or I feel and I wake up, it's so many people say I wake up and I feel nothing, right? Or I'm depressed. And I had that feeling, and I never had that feeling for, I don't know, 37 years, 38 years. And then waking up and feeling like, okay, I just got to get through the day. Not like I want to own the day, or it's so tough, and it's not something people choose.
Yeah, I remember when you were going through it at its worst, and you didn't want to go get help. And help there's a lot of ways to get help. You don't have to go to treatment to get help. You don't like there's just multiple ways to get help. But like what I was trying to get through to you was like you were not living. Like the life that you thought you were living was not enjoyable. It was everyone has stress in this world, but it was so over the top stressful and not fun. And it's like I was trying to get through to you that like there's a path to feeling good again.
And really, for the first time, you're like, you took it in, right? I think that's when you grow the most, is like, okay, this isn't someone who wants me to fail. This is someone who wants me to succeed. And sometimes having those conversations is difficult. And it was so nice. I get emotional just talking about it, because it's like, okay, you're listening, right? And when you said I wasn't aware, I wasn't listening to other people. I wasn't, right? I get any feedback and I was like, F you, right? Or
Yeah.
you don't know what I'm going through, or you don't know how hard it is to balance what I'm doing in business with all these companies. And it's like, no, it was feedback that was to try and make me better. And me personally, I didn't want to hear it, or I had a rebuttal to it all, right? Or I would attack that character. Who are you to tell me this when you have this, right? Like, but it was so wrong. And I think that's where you experience the most growth. You said it. Um,
And that goes into my New Year's resolutions, and we all have a lot. And like yours, I don't have this. I've got to be here, or I've got to be at this place, or got to look at this physique, or I got to have hit these numbers. I actually haven't even done that yet. Like normally, I do my business goals, sell this much real estate, personal goals. I haven't done it yet, and the reason I haven't done it because it's not important to me. The things that come to mind, and I've put a lot of thought into this, and I've now kind of almost got an acronym for it to help me and remind me. It started with one word that started with an F, and it went to two words with an F, and three, and I've settled on four Fs. And the first one is fear. And I have recognized that I put a lot of fear into my life every day that never happens. Um, Fear of when I'm done with workout, what time to get home, what time to get to the office, when to respond to emails, what to do with dinner, when to call Elliott, when to check in with another person, when to book a trip, when am I keeping up with whatever it may be, but the fear of just not slowing down and being present. And these fears never happen. 99% of them don't happen. Someone told me, look back on the last year, how many things did you have fear about, which would have been in the millions? How many things should you have feared? Now, last year was a trying year, but even in a trying year, maybe it's 15 things that I actually should have been fearful of, that I'm like, fuck, if this happens, I'm in a bad spot. 15, 10. The next F is frequency. And I used to get super excited and try and read the room of energy and read other people and all that stuff. And it starts with yourself. And I need to be very mindful of where my frequency is. And if I'm in control of that, I can tap into other people's. Like I look at it as like radio stations, but I can always go back to my frequency. And I don't want to chase people. I want to find the frequencies that I like with them and enjoy that. And I want to be very comfortable with where I am and where my energy is. And also, I want to have compassion. As you said, it's not linear. If you think your life's going to be linear or your year's going to be linear, good luck. The third F is freedom. And when I mean freedom, I feel like I have not had enough space for Alex in my life. I have not lived a free, do what I want. Stop people pleasing. Free to live, to just do me. To just be open to what the world is going to bring me, to not live a life that is expected of me. The last F, which is the best, is fun. We are on this planet to enjoy it. well, we're on it no matter what. So we might as well enjoy it. For one reason or another, I can go back, and this is my work. I'm going back to inner child. We've talked about inner child on this show, and inner child is on this podcast is not Alex at 8 years old, 10, 20. It is, but it's also Alex at 20, 24, 28, 32, 38, 40. It's your fun. It's your play. It's the kid in you. It's life. It's living. It's losing track of time, like we just said, and just having fun. And like, we are on this world to enjoy it. Like whatever your religion is, we're here. When we leave, we're gone. But when we're here, enjoy it. And I'm 41 years old. I wish I had learned this at 31. At the same time, I got here somehow. I love the seat I'm in. I love that you're next to me. It's like we don't need to start our resolutions January 1. The second we're aware of something like that, just go do it. And that doesn't mean we're not going to have bullshit in our lives, or we still got to work. We still got to do things, but just catch yourself. And so those 4 F's keep me accountable. I'm not going to check in on them every month. Quarterly, yeah. Someone asked me, what do you want to see in yourself in this quarter, right? I actually really enjoyed that. And I said, it's tough because it's like, man, you want to be out of the gates January 1, right? But you also have to let it come to you. So I think 3 months is nice. And all those 4 things I just talked about, let's see where I stand April 1st, letting them come to me.
Yeah, I think those are good for us. I think the first F of fear really goes into, if you handle that right, goes into your frequency, your freedom, your fun. Even me, right? Without knowing, you're trying to please people, right? At all times, or you're fearful of what people might think of you or say, whether that's if you're having too much fun, or you're coming in with energy, or you're looking at things, differently, right? You have a fear. You've changed. When you change, there's a fear, right? How is that going to be looked at from others? How is that going to affect my relationships, right? It might be like, I'm going to put more time into me.
Not having that awareness or not admitting it to yourself. We say it with Lane, our therapist. We lie to ourselves. We lie to ourselves every day. I'm sitting in this chair and I know I've lied in this episode, not consciously, subconsciously, and that's fine. Give yourself compassion for it. But when you become aware of it, I've said it, I will say it over again. You have two options. One is ignore, and the second thing is do something about it. And I think when we really get depressed or upset or sad or don't want to look in the mirror is when we don't do something about it. You asked me a difficult question the other day. One of your words when you were going through stuff was content. It was confidence, it was attractiveness, and it was content. And you said, I don't think you were content. And I thought about it. I actually thought about it. And I don't know if I was in the past content. I think that's a hard one. And it's really in the moment, right? I think for me, and I'll challenge the audience with this, is I wasn't curious. I think when you're content, you can kind of stay on the surface level, right? It's just comfortable, content, happy, not upset, not bad, it's not great. Where I'm at now is I'm really curious. I'm curious how I can climb. I'm curious when I'm down, how I can stay, but then go back. There's just so much more to things if you're inquisitive, if you do all the stuff we're talking about. Listen to podcasts, become vulnerable, stay patient, have compassion, have sympathy, have all these things, all these emotions, these conscious emotions, right? Anger, apathy, enlightenment, joy, just recognizing these levels of consciousness because they exist, embracing them and seeing where you can go. I'll leave with that for myself. That fires me up into the new year. Fires me up is the awareness of the consciousness that I can have to keep growing, doing it with myself, which it starts with myself, my twin brother, Patrick, our producer, the other team, Mary, Ellen, anyone that's involved in my life, but it starts with myself each day, every day I wake up. I'm mindful of that. The last 2 questions, which is, what is firing you up?
Oh,
We'll
it's
start with
right
that.
now. I think what's firing me up is just going in the new year with business. And everyone starts a bit, but being excited to where I can take the companies. I have sort of 3 or 4 companies I'm involved with, and they're growing, and it's exciting to see not only they're growing, but the people who are running them and how it's changing their lives. And I'm fired up about those. I'm fired up about I put so many bricks down for the last 6 months, 8 months. It's now time to know that there's foundation and the ability to now go to different levels or go try. I'm not going to succeed in everything, right? But it's now like, no, I have a foundation where if something bad happens, it's not going to crush me, right? It's just not, right? When I say bad, if it's a trauma or even this, or I diving into it, I'm growing through those now. I'm no longer at the fact of, okay, I have to put a brick down and a brick down. I still would love to keep pushing the foundation, but it's exciting that you say curiosity. Mine is to go and change still, I always said, like, I want to be more spiritual, but without trying. I want to be able to feel good in this moment and not say I need to feel good. Or I want to build relationships and not just think, well, how do I build a relationship? But just actually connecting through connecting. So it's a lot more where my conscious and subconscious have met up. My conscious and subconscious were fighting so much in 2024. I mean, to the extent of stuff was not real, and yet I couldn't get over the subconscious saying, yeah, it is. So that's where I'm fired up. I have awareness here. I have awareness on my board. I want to be in positions where people keep saying, Elliott, you've really changed. That's exciting. That feels good. You really worked on yourself. And I think that's, call it this year or the first 6 months of being fired up, of being like, yeah, I've implemented this change and it feels natural. So yeah, I think those aren't, you don't get there by doing one thing. You get there by continuously working on that.
Yeah, I love that. And that's something I can check in with you on, and I will personally, and obviously, hopefully we will through more episodes. And the last thing is, we've given to dog charities through you. We've given to mental health. What are we giving to today?
I think we talked about this. I want to make sure you agreed for the first time. It wasn't just me saying I want to do this. And I think with currently the LA fires are going on, and I think a lot of people are helping and sending money to different things. I think what some people don't see or realize is all the dogs that have been misplaced, and will not be taken care of and need shelter and need food and need new homes. And so I think I have to do more research, but finding the charity that's really going to take care of the animals. And I say whether it's dogs, it's all animals.
Yeah, dogs, horses. I saw, I think a donkey.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I saw deer. I saw everything, and it's people are important, but the animals definitely hit home with us as well.
Yeah. So I think and we can maybe when I come back next time say the charity we found, but I think that would go a long way.
Love it. Well, we've now made it a tradition. Thank you. I love you. I can say it.
Love
now
you too,
our
brother.
dad is saying it too,
I know.
and holding his heart. Where our mom will get there.
Love is a word in our family now, and it wasn't it was never there, and so it's nice and it's authentic. So
yeah, love it. So thank you, special.
Thank you. I appreciate being on the show, brother. I love you very much.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Alex Perry on Fire. It means so much to me and the wonderful team that makes this all possible. I'm now passing the flame to you. Please follow, like, and subscribe so you can always stay up to date. Thanks again, and stay fired up.